Welcome to the town board meeting with the Plan Commission, Thursday, October 10th, beginning at 6:30. I'd like to call the meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Singleton, could you call the roll?
Plan Commissioners Chairman Merrick,
Present.
Commissioner Al White,
Present.
Bob Flanagan,
Present.
Bob Stigler,
Here.
Dan Buchholz is absent, Supervisor Brian Fisher,
Here.
Engineer Janelli,
Here.
Planner Rybarczyk,
Here.
Attorney De La Mora, and Clerk Treasurer Salentine.
Thank you. And we'll begin with citizens' comments this evening. Anybody? Going once? Going twice? And we'll move on to approval of the minutes. September 12th, 2013, public hearings number 1, 2, 3, and 4. If there's no objection, we'll take them all together.
Just a clarification, if there isn't anything else. On the September 12th, 2013 minutes, under the Green Man Tree and Landscape Conditional Use, it should be clarified they need to meet regulations with the building and fire inspector, and the verbiage, Commissioner Buchholz clarified burning to dispose of materials will not be allowed, should be added before the motion. So all the minutes would be approved as submitted, other than, and September 12th as with corrections.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then to the meeting minutes of September 12th, 2013.
Oh, they did them all at once.
Oh, I got the hearings all at once. That's fine, if you get the hearings in there.
Oh,
Or
the regular.
Regular minutes, okay. Then we'll move on. To number 4, discussion and possible action on an accessory building. Owner is Michael and Kelly Mendiola. I hope I didn't butcher that too bad. And the applicant is Paradise Builders. And see, we have somebody from Paradise Builders in the audience. Is one of the Mendiolas here?
Sure. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we're projecting or asking for approval for a outbuilding, a garage of sorts, a garden shed, alongside of a hot tub area, which is located right over in this development here. It architecturally, it falls in line with his home and has been approved by the Bellman Group, which is the ACC in this particular development still, David particularly. So in regards to the garage, it architecturally is in line with it. We talked with Mike had talked with the neighbor in regards to it over a hot dog, and the neighbor is the closest one to him in regards to is absolutely no issue with it, and really the next neighbor from there is probably about I would say 1.5 acres, 2 acres away.
Planner Rybarczyk?
Yeah, it's a 14 by 24 accessory building. It's roughly 16 feet, 6 inches in height. It's going to be 14 feet west of the residence and 21 feet north of the property line. It's zoned R1. It's a little over an acre. It's 1.08 acres. Per our ordinance, the total aggregate floor area they can have is 1,000 square feet, so they are under that. The maximum height, however, for the zoning district is 15 feet, but we do have the amended provision that says if you're trying to match the roof pitch of the existing house, that you can exceed the height limit of the zoning district as long as it's approved by Planning Commission Board. And as Keith has mentioned, they are trying to match the roof pitch of the existing house, which I think was recently built. So with that, I did put together a staff recommendation if the Planning Commission so chooses to approve. It's contingent upon 6 conditions, and they have been our standard conditions for accessory buildings. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you. Questions?
Motion to approve with the conditions.
Second?
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Have a great night.
You too. And on to number 5, discussion and possible action for an accessory building. The owners are Mark and Elaine Blanian. Are the Blanians here this evening? Hi, come on up. Jamie, you want to start off?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is looking to construct a 28 by 26 accessory building. Currently, as proposed, the height is 26 feet. It's going to be 200 feet east of the residence and 52 feet north of the property line. It is in the RE zoning district, and it's a little over 3 acres in size. Per our ordinance, the aggregate total floor area is limited to 1,200 square feet, so they are underneath the square footage. The maximum height, though, for the district is 15 feet. In meeting with the petitioner at the planner appointment, I did explain the height, the increase in height that he can do. For every foot in height that he needs to be an additional 2 feet away from the property line. He has done that. However, in that same section of the ordinance, the threshold is that you can only get an additional 10 feet. You can't go beyond that. So if the zoning district is at 15 feet per that provision, he can get another 10 feet, so the maximum he can have is 25 feet. Right now, as it's proposed, it's 26 feet. I have not had conversations with the property owner since then, but in the staff report, I did recommend approval if the plan commission so chooses, with 7 conditions, and one of the conditions are that prior to receiving a building permit, you would have to do modifications to lower the structure by a foot. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back over to you.
Do you have any, would that be any issues for you to lower that by a foot? Okay. Any questions?
I guess it's a small one. This, I think we had this last meeting too, your septic system, you feel show 2 different sites.
It shows one site and it can be expanded.
Okay, so this one drawing, it shows like it's way to, I'm gonna say, the north side, and this drawing here, it looks like it's
Well,
right where kind of where you're building
the
here.
survey drawing is not that, look, there's a break in the lines on the property. They want to show the whole property. That's why I redid the drawing so that it show the whole property. So when he drew it right over the break.
Okay.
So I can't show the building because the building is actually where the break is, if we have a break in the property. So the other drawing that I had actually showed the building with respect to the septic system.
I believe the drawing on the screen properly illustrates it.
That doesn't, yeah. So we're quite a ways from the septic system.
Mr. Chairman, I have two comments. One is a bit tongue-in-cheek, other than perhaps the application that comes after yours. I think you may get the record for the largest submission of drawings for an accessory structure in the town of Waukesha. That's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but on a little bit more serious note, you have a, I'll simply call it a perspective sketch of the proposed structure in there. If it turns out looking like that, I think it's a very attractive structure.
That's what we're looking for.
Anything further? Motion?
Make a motion approved.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And number 6, discussion and possible action on a site plan for AT&T. They're installing a generator. Jamie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. AT&T is looking to replace 2 existing turbines that they have on site. They're currently in a penthouse on top of the building. They're going to install a 2,000 kilowatt diesel genset generator on the first floor of the building. So they're going to be doing some interior modifications to the first floor. It's roughly 875 square feet. What they're also going to be doing is building a new penthouse on the lower portion of the building for intake air, and that's going to be 378 square feet. The property is zoned P1 zoning district, which is public and institutional, and it's 6.49 acres. In the staff report, I did put a recommendation together for approval if the plan commission so chooses, and there's 7 standard conditions. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back over to you.
Is there anybody from AT&T here this evening?
Yes,
Come on up.
Tim Otzelberger with AT&T.
Good evening.
Good evening. John Corshane with EXP, our engineering firm.
Anybody have any questions for AT&T or the engineer?
You've seen the staff report, have you, with the recommended conditions?
Yes.
Okay, and any concerns or issues or comments on those suggested conditions?
Just out of curiosity, how large is a 2,000 kW genset? That thing's got to be,
Physical,
yes,
the engine block is bigger than you would imagine. About 6 feet long, stands about, maybe not quite 6 feet high. We put one in not too long ago down in Milwaukee, similar size. But the engine block is huge.
is the whole unit, would that encompass our podium, or?
I would say yes.
Yeah.
Just a
Right
curiosity.
in here.
Anything else?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
On to number 7, discussion and possible action for a preliminary certified survey map for the Hazel Danner Revocable Trust. The applicant is Dean Danner. I think, Jamie, you're going to take this one.
This one has been to the Plan Commission with an extension a couple months back. They still have not gotten any farther, so they're asking for another 3-month extension, 120 days, so.
I have spoken with the town engineer about this. The delay up until now and going forward continues to be the lack of any details available to the applicant with regards to the elevation that will be required. This is going to be a road that will be built to state specifications, but under the county jurisdiction. The proposal at hand is to develop a 4-lot subdivision, and because of the total uncertainty that we have at this point, other than the general concept and the amount of time that has passed in the statutory language, in order to not establish a precedent of this length, it is my recommendation, I believe, the town engineer and the planner support that at this time the application be denied without prejudice, that is, allowing the applicant to come forward at whatever point in time he or the trust has the plans in place so that they can be reviewed. Right now, it's quite uncertain as to when this is going to happen. There's no indication that there will be plans at any time in the foreseeable future.
Is
Yeah.
it, may I just ask, is that, I think the petitioner's here, is that your recommendation? We discussed that with the petitioner?
I have had no contact with the petitioner. I merely spoke with staff and reviewed the materials sent to me.
Mr. Danner, what is your preference on this going forward? Would you rather have an extension or move forward with a denial and then reapply, or what's your preference?
We'd rather have the extension. The problem is the county has not set the elevation for the bypass. It was supposed to be set a year ago. We're still sitting there waiting for them to set it.
Is there any reason that we wouldn't give them a simple extension?
The amount of time that has passed statutorily, there is a fixed time that has now passed whereby if there is no action, it's deemed approved.
Right, but we've given the extensions on that, so.
You have.
So that hasn't really passed.
Right. The time hasn't passed because we have asked for the extension as opposed to the town board. So we've given the town board the ability to extend without prejudice.
Do I understand correctly, looking at your communication to us, your request is the extension to March 1st, 2014?
Correct.
Thank you.
We're hoping that the county finalizes that, because they gotta finalize that at some point, one way or the other.
Any further questions? Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we approve the extension.
Second?
And that would be to March 1st, 2014?
Exactly.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. On to number 8, discussion and possible action for plan of operation revocation. And this is for My Guy Auto. We had approved this back, I believe, in July. And the property that Mr. Syndic was going to be purchasing, the purchase of that property has fallen through, and council thought it would be wise to revoke the conditional use and sign permit.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to number 9, discussion and possible action on a letter of credit for Rolling Oaks 2, Phase 2. Mr. Gianelli?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. In front of you is my letter dated September 25th, along with some of the, or all of the backup documentation provided by Mr. Bellman of Bellman Homes. They are going to move forward with the second phase of Rolling Oaks 2. And basically, my letter establishes our recommendation for a letter of credit in the amount of $296,616.
Yes, Mr. DeLauro.
At the present time, there is outstanding pending a letter of credit that expires in February with regards to the prior phase that had been approved. It's my understanding that there have been drawdowns against that. And once this number is approved by the town, it is the applicant's intention, from my conversation with him, to go back to the same bank and discuss with them whether there will be a separate letter of credit or a combined letter of credit. There is no difference in my mind whether the town gets 1 or 2 letters of credit. If it can save the developers some money, it makes sense to go with 1 letter of credit. The only problem is that we should get a letter of credit that lasts at least a year. And it's my understanding that the commencement of the project, which we're discussing tonight, will not occur until the spring. And there may also be a need to look at the original development agreement to see if there's any need to modify that. Letter of credit in this instance probably will not be of the same magnitude as previously required, because for this phase, there will not be a need to establish ponds and associated work with those ponds.
Good evening, Mr. Bellman.
Hello, how are you?
Good, yourself?
Good. Basically, the plan is to do the second phase next spring. Just want to get the kind of financial amount figured out so we can go to the bank and get the letter of credit squared away. And then, I don't know if it's appropriate to ask this here or not, but my initial thought was when we complete the road work for the second phase and put the binder course down, I was thinking that I would like to try and put the final lift down in the first phase, so maybe try and do that all at the same time, just because it's been moving fairly quickly through that development, getting construction going. Anticipate maybe only having 2 lots or 3 lots that are potentially open by next year, so it'd be, over 75% complete. So that's kind of the general strategy, but.
That would be acceptable. I think the developer's agreement specifies 75%.
I'm not sure what the percentage is, but that's kind of where I figure it'll be by next year.
We'll look at that and then talk, but
okay,
that seems reasonable.
Okay. I think other than that, we're all set to do that next spring. We don't want to do anything at this point in the year, but as far as the developer's agreement, that was a brand new document that we'd done the last time, so I don't know, obviously if you have some revisions to it or whatever, that's, we can discuss that, but I figured, I don't remember how we did that last time, if that was approved.
I think that was approved as part of the final plat and the plans, all kind of lumped together.
Okay.
So, and I think your plans aren't quite approved yet, so.
Correct, yeah, we're waiting for the county. We made the erosion control permit submittal, and they have 21 days or whatever to act on it, so there's probably about another week or 2 before they get final comments. They did do a preliminary review and get comments already, and we addressed those comments. So now we're just down to their full review on it, and whatever they have, we can address those and bring it back before the town.
I have not seen a final plat yet either, so are you kind
I
of
believe
holding
my
off on
engineer-
that until later, maybe?
I think the engineer was waiting on that until, we got the county comments, and then we're just gonna incorporate everything and then make a final submittal.
Gotcha. And the developer's agreement for the next phase, are we just gonna copy the original, or are you guys working together on that?
I haven't had any discussions yet with the town attorney on that yet, so I don't know if you wanna,
Whatever is most expeditious.
Okay. And I believe the last time you sent out a draft with any revisions in it, and we just made the changes.
If you wish to do that, I'd be happy to look at that.
Okay.
The red line format.
Okay.
Save you time.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I guess I have a question. I'm just a little bit lost looking the way this is placed on our agenda. It was for a letter of credit for phase 2 in reading Mr. Schnelly's letter to us of September 25th. He's recommending that the letter of credit for phase 2 in the total amount of $296,616. That seems kind of clean and neat, and then we get into all kinds of discussion about merging them together and all that type of stuff, so I don't know what we're being asked to act on tonight. Is it simply this, a letter of credit for phase 2, clean an amount of $296,616? What is it that we're considering?
Mr. Belvin?
Yeah, I think right now we just want to get the letter of credit approved, so that I can go to the bank and get that piece finalized, and then we'll make the other submittal. Just wanted to kind of get some direction actually on how I wanted to work the process.
So you're seeing that as a separate instrument and not merged together with the first phase, as Attorney Dale Moore was speaking?
Oh, you mean as far as, well, I think the only question that would be up is with the bank as far as are they going to want to just put that all into one letter of credit. I guess I need approval on the amount from the town, and then I can go to the bank and say, do you want to draft a separate letter of credit, or do you want it just built on the previous letter of credit that we already have that's still open?
My recommendation would be to approve the amount for phase 2 in that value, and then if Mr. Ballman chooses to combine them He'll submit a letter and a request to do that, and then we'll tackle that at that time.
I like that, that's my motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just one quick, Mr. Bellin.
Oh,
Just
yes.
one quick clarification. When it comes to the development agreement and the red line version, who's going to do the changes and submit those changes to whom? Is Attorney De La Mora doing that, and you understand there's a cost when he's doing that, or are you going to have those changes done? I mean, we just did this development agreement maybe
Yes.
a few months back.
I mean, I can incorporate at least the information in for the new phase and then send it over to Attorney De La Mora and then he
And
can.
then he's gonna just review it as opposed to.
Yeah, and then
just
if,
making
you know, obviously,
changes.
there's expense for that part, I understand that, so I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, so you're gonna submit that to him for review and not the other one?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
As long as that's okay with the town.
Works for me.
Okay.
Whatever saves you money.
Thank you. And on to number 10, non-compliance reports. Planner Roy Barczyk?
Yeah, I met with Ms. Belinsky this week to talk about the possibility of building a 30 by 40 detached accessory structure on their property. The necessity for the accessory structure is to aid in addressing a zoning violation that they received from the building inspector. In talking with the property owner, we found out that the detached accessory structure wasn't going to be feasible based on requirements under ordinance. However, working with building inspector Montoya, we found out that they can add on to the existing garage that they have and ultimately reach the end goal that they're wanting to do. The problem that we ran into is that the zoning violation that was submitted by the town building inspector had a 30-day compliance deadline to it, which would be coming up in about a week here. So in speaking with Martin, we agreed that we would like to bring forth to the Plan Commission the idea that they grant a 90-day extension to Martin's zoning violation so that they can continue to work with Martin, get some, a plan set drawn up, and then get the proper permit so that they can start construction on the addition to the garage that they have. So the letter that I have before you is requesting a 90-day extension to ultimately the zoning violation that building inspector Montoya had done. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back over to you.
And can I safely assume that you have a sticky computer key again?
I
Yes.
might, where,
Yes.
Mr. Slowney? Vernon Town Sheriff?
where,
Oh, maybe it's just on mine.
No, it's on the letter in the header here.
oh, it is, yep,
That's
sorry.
okay, I get it, I understand. So is the request then for the Plan Commission to grant a 90-day extension?
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing that I would ask, and I see in your letter, we're talking about a 90-day extension, it says December 16th. Not sure that's 90 days from now, but we simply want to go with a date certain or something. And I guess unless there's something sacred about that, I'd make a motion to grant the extension until January 1st of 2014.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.